Memories mixing with flair. Every sip's a moment. We're happy to share. Liquid lunch, pour it smooth, let it flow. Friends round the table where the good times grow. Raise a glass, let the worries slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for the day. The clock don't matter, we're lost in the vibe. Jazz in the air, feel the soul come alive. From martinis to bourbon, we're riding the wave. Stealing this hour, it's the freedom we crave. Sun's still shining, but we're in our zone. This bar's our shelter, our temporary home. One more round before the world calls us back. Savor the moment, keep the blues in the rack. We'll laugh and we'll toast till the afternoon fades. Memories made in these liquid escapades. Liquid lunch, pour it smooth, let it flow. Friends round the table where the good times grow. Raise a glass, let the worries slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for the day. So here's to the day, like the drinks and the fun. Our liquid lunch, till the next one comes. With a wink and a smile, we'll be back real soon. Chasing that jazz under the high noon.
Salut and welcome. Happy Tuesday, thoughtful Tuesday. Hope everyone is doing well today. Hope you made it through your Monday relatively unscathed. And because it's Thoughtful Tuesday, I want to hear what's on your minds. I want to hear what you are thinking about today. You guys tell me, what do you want to talk about today? Let's see if you guys have already started giving me some ideas. Let's get to those chats, starting with the first person I saw here, who is Big Al of Big Al Presents. He says, Happy Tuesday, Liquid Lunchers. Hope everyone has their Thanksgiving supplies. Have a great show, Troy. So here's the thing, right? We talk about this. Ned and I said we went shopping this weekend. Think we got everything. And you keep going, do I have this? Do I have this? Do I have that? And just yesterday, we went to the fridge because we wanted to get something to eat. And there's like, gosh, we got a lot of food. And I thought about it. And I'm like, you know what? If we forgot anything that we usually have for Thanksgiving dinner, so what? Right? The whole idea behind Thanksgiving is to be thankful for the fact that we have abundance, that we are not starving, that we are going to make it through the winter. Let's face it, if there was no food in the fridge, I would definitely make it through the winter. I've got layers to keep me warm. So I think we're covered. But yes, but to more specifically, the check mark type stuff, I think we do. I'm pretty sure we do. One thing I didn't get, and it was a conscious choice, I usually get cinnamon rolls for breakfast. And I've come to realize that we probably don't need to be eating breakfast on Thanksgiving since we eat an early lunch and we eat so much. And then we graze for the rest of the evening. Maybe we skip the cinnamon rolls, save those for Christmas. I think that's a good idea. The love of my life comes in to tell me she loves me. Thank you so much, my dear. She says, to all of you, like, share, subscribe, become a member, leave a comment, gift a membership if you are feeling generous this holiday season. There are poor, unfortunate souls out there who don't know the joys of being a part of this community. You can bring them into the fold. one of us, one of us. Because you could become a member for as little as $2 a month. And if you do become a member, you can decide what movie do we watch on Monday that is exclusive only to the members. You get to choose, and then you get to watch it with me. That's always fun. And there's lots of other benefits as well. Not least of which, supporting this channel so that I can keep doing what we do here. Trying to reach 100 members by the end of the year. We're really close. We're really close, my friends. That's totally doable. 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Now, we're really close on that too, but I'm not seeing that moving. I don't know if it's YouTube fighting us or what, but all you got to do is make sure you're subscribed and then ask all of your friends and family to subscribe too. It costs nothing. It's not like they're buying into a Ponzi scheme or something. It's just, clicking a button and telling YouTube that I am a worthwhile channel to be around. Welcome, Enigma Severus, who says, I'm on episode 3 of Wednesday Season 2. Referring back to our conversation from yesterday's Liquid Lunch. So far, it's holding up pretty well. Intertwined stories are going well. Intertwined stories are going well. One thing that I noticed, I kind of mentioned this a little bit, or at least I was on the thought process of this yesterday, but we watched one episode, the first episode of season 2 yesterday, and Morticia makes a reference to her sister Ophelia. Actually, to be honest, it was Wednesday who mentions, because she's Morticia says something about her sister, and she says, how is Aunt Ophelia or whatever, and I'm like, did they just create a character, or does this come from the lore? And so I go and look it up on the Addams Family Wiki. Yes, there is one. Come to realize that twin sister Ophelia was in the original series, played by the same actress. So if they choose to bring Ophelia in at any time, obviously Catherine Zeta-Jones could do the double role, just like Ortega did with Wednesday and Goody. Just. I also was thinking too more about, I kind of really respect these people that are making this show. And I noticed that some of these episodes, if not all of them, are directed by Tim Burton. He's an executive producer on the show. The title, the theme is by Danny Elfman. So it's like, okay, there is connective tissue here with those movies, And but these writers are clearly taking the time to make up stuff in the world that they choose to that doesn't run afoul of anything that went before. And then they look back at the lore. They're probably going to the same wikis I am, to find who's related to who's in the family, who's been mentioned before, and so forth. And trying to be as true to all of that as possible. They've given Uncle Fester like a pseudo-magical ability. Well, I guess we have to assume it's some sort of supernatural ability involving electricity. So he zaps you when you shake hands. He was able to defibrillate, thing, bring him back to life, and so forth. And again, I inferred that's similar to the whole Frankenstein thing, electricity, galvanic response, and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. And so in the first episode of season 2, they established that not only does Uncle Fester have this ability, but so does Pugsley. He has developed this ability over the summer, or demonstrated it. And Gomez does not. Sometimes it skips a generation, maybe a recessive trait or something, who knows. But I found that very interesting. I like that lore building that doesn't trample on what went before. That's good stuff. Anyway, I digress. I want to say hi to everybody else, including Gorilla's Random Thoughts, who says, gotta lurk. We are gearing up for a blizzard. Oh, wait, a winter weather advisory with blizzard conditions. Here's the... We got an announcement of a severe weather warning. And by the end of the day, that severe weather turned out to be a light dusting of snow that didn't even accumulate on the sidewalk. It just kind of dusted the grass. What's that line from Agent Cooper? If you could be wrong half the time and still get paid, it would beat working. Just saying. Can we share about Troy's layers on his liquid lunch? Well, I just mentioned them. I'm not getting into too many details about that. Hail, Connie Cleary, the bird woman of YouTube. Good to see you. YouTube, welcome, by the way, Lester, Skeptic, Tank Obsessions, says YouTube is behaving ridiculously. This is a shock and appalled. I'm so surprised. I might fall over and die of not surprise. Get used to navigating the site and menus. Look to your subscriptions. The notifications are arbitrary, for lack of a better description. And in fairness, I did not do something today that I usually do. I'll try to remember this for the members stream. I always list all of the members in the description of the video and then tag you. So you should be getting notifications of a mention. That wouldn't have happened this time. That was my bad. But you're absolutely right. The reason I'm doing it is because I know that YouTube is not reliable on notifications. So I try to give that little benefit to the members. I think I'll remind people of that in a members message in the community tab, because I think some of the new members might not understand. Why is he mentioning me in every single video? Welcome, Sentai Ranger Donnie. Good to see you. Hello, Troy and all. Hope everyone is well, despite the Power Rangers Prime comic book series getting canceled and Super Sentai ending after half a century. Okay, fill me in a little bit more. Super Sentai being the TV show, right? That was one of the shows that was used here in the United States to make the Power Rangers show. Am I correct about that? Of course, I didn't know that there was a Power Rangers Prime comic book. And was that a Japanese-made periodical, or was that something that was put out here in the U.S.? Also, if you want to hit me up on X, shoot me a DM with any news articles related to that. I could include those on Geeky Geezers on Sunday. Just a thought for our Thoughtful Tuesday. See how I work that in there? Saying hi to each other. Yes, the Tokusatsu spirit lives on with the launch of the Project Red, pronounced Project Red. Details to follow. Okay, I'll be looking forward to that. Japanese science fiction. Okay. I must catch up on the Netflix Wednesday at some point. Fun stuff. Yeah, I was just saying yesterday that we discovered that last Sunday, was the third anniversary of the initial premiere of this new Wednesday series, and I said, okay, yeah, it's time to get caught up. So we watched the first season, and so far one episode of the second season. Actually, Aunt Sophia has been cast. Ava Green. Oh, so they decided to go a different way. Interesting. Can kind of see Ava Green in that role too. That could be kind of cool. But, yeah, Yeah, they could have. Maybe they felt that because they'd already done that with Jenna Ortega, they didn't want to have another double casting. They might have felt like that was some kind of a cop-out. Plus, I'm starting to think that they're just really enjoying getting all the guest castings. You know, because this season the new headmaster is Buscemi, Steve Buscemi. And I was like 3/4 of the way through the first episode before I realized they were intentionally making him look like Edgar Allan Poe. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. That makes sense. Last season, of course, was they had the guest appearance co-star Christina Ricci. What's her name? Who played Brienne of Tarth? Of course, they killed her character off. That's why they have a new headmaster. What's her name? The Bad Wolf girl. Oh, guys, help me out here. The blonde companion from David Tennant. She's a guest star this season, too. So they like to bring in these recurring guests. It's supposed to be 3 inches, but it's accompanied with 60-mile-an-hour winds. So, yeah, so you might not actually see the accumulation. What you might get is some drifts. So, like, the side of your house might have, snow blown up the side, but, you won't really see anything actually on the street. Maybe. It also depends on how cold it is. If it's real close to 32 degrees, you might have wet, icy, or slushy conditions. If it's particularly cold, you might not have it sticking. You might have it blowing around. So that might clear off the roadways too. Let's see. I don't have my winter survival kit. A bottle of Jack, because I'm going to freeze to death. Might as well be comfortable. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. You might want to think about changing your brand of hooch. Jack Daniels is a globalist anti-American company. That's what it has become. They are trying to shut down cattle industry in Tennessee for sustainability reasons. Hashtag cancel Jack Daniels. That's just my thought. You weigh that as you see fit. All right, so I saw Sisu Road to Revenge. Pretty good. It's not purely accurate physics-wise, but if you would like a classic, blow everything up no matter the logic, it's pretty good. Sometimes those are the best. I think I've had this conversation on air with Big Al, because I like to be very realistic. I want my physics to be realistic, the science, especially the history. But there does come a point when it's like a loopy comedy, like something will happen in the Addams Family, and I'll be like, I got to remember what kind of a thing this is. So there's this one part where they're doing a bonfire, and the bonfire is stacked really, really neat. And it goes into like a wooden sculpture, made from twigs, interlaced, in the shape of a raven, which, is, well, it's Nevermore Academy, right? And as they light it, and the bird catches fire, the wings kind of arch and come down. And Netter's like, can that really happen? I'm like, it can. If you know how fires work, you can cause there to be contractions in the wood that causes movement, and it could burn up in a artistic way. But then, of course, it starts flying, and I'm like, okay, now there's your supernatural element. That's magic. It's like they start out with something plausible, and they go, okay, full on magic, Also, The Running Man was a better version than the campy original. but the original is what inspired the newest one, so I give both respect. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people. I haven't seen it. I actually don't even remember if I saw the original Running Man, so I can't even comment on that. But there's a lot of people picking apart Running Man, and I'm like, look, we can't hate on everything. Okay, let's try to be as dispassionate as possible as we look at this stuff and decide, is it any good and is it worthwhile? I have occasionally seen remakes that are better. I've seen other times where it's like, did you really need to remake this? Could you not have just done a sequel of some kind? Oh, and since I'm just randomly sharing talking points, I'm hoping Sicario 3 happens soon. I have not seen Sicario 1 and 2, so I can't speak to that one. Oh, okay, so kind of like you make a Xerox when you make a copy of something. I don't know what's on top of the fridge. I understand. Jack is wrong. Save the planet. Eat a cow. Bingo. There you go. Billy Piper. That's the gal's name. She's not quite so blonde this season. She's got darker hair. And they've kind of fixed up those eyebrows a little bit. My speculation was maybe they did that so you didn't think that she was supposed to be playing a Lycan, because those werewolf characters all have like the unibrow going on. Well, not all of them. They all have different kind of tells. But I noticed like the Wednesday's roommate, her father had this really thick unibrow going on. Let's see here. YouTube and its wokiness can't tell if I've been tagged. Yeah, fair enough. Oh, wonkiness. I'm so used to seeing wokies that could be that too. You never know. I'm wondering if is there a typo here, Connie? Detno reboots. Continuations are better. I'm going to say it depends. That's a general rule of thumb that I would agree with, Connie. But there are times when you look back and you go, this was incredibly campy, or this was incredibly weak, or this had a great deal of potential that it didn't live up to. We could do better. There are very few examples of that, but there are some. For example, I would argue that the rebooted Battlestar Galactica was better than the original. I've gone back and watched the original, and there are some things I really liked about it. There is a bit of 70s kitsch that I like about it. I love the uniforms. Really love the uniforms, the sets, and so forth. But there were story points that they eliminated with the reboots. Now, I'm not even saying the reboot was perfect. There were some problems there too, but sometimes it's good to start fresh. But then again, I'll point to things like Ghostbusters. You try to reboot that and don't make it... You can't... If it's so beloved that it's a classic, then don't reboot it. You can't, because then you end up with Ghostbusters 96. What you got to do is a continuation. And that's what they did with Afterlife. And then, okay, this is how we keep it going. And honestly, again, we're reading the shadows on the wall as we look at, how much money the film made and whether it was a success or not. Clearly, it was successful enough to do another movie, another sequel. But I don't think you guys see how much merchandise came out of these new Ghostbusters movies. It kicked off a merchandise glut, and as we know, that's where the real money is made. So you cannot doubt that it's absolutely been successful financially for them. Saw Sisu Road to Revenge 2. Yes, Suspension of disbelief is necessary. Yeah. I mean, look, I've seen a lot of... there's two schools of thought on things like, for example, martial arts films, right? Some of them you'd like to see them be as realistic as possible, if that's the right tone for the movie. Sometimes crazy, over the top, that would never work in real life type stuff is also kind of fun, you know? And I'm also really good with this whole idea that, you know, like I said with Wednesday, you know, okay, that's supernatural, that's magic, that's not real, you know. You just chalk it up to that. In a lot of these karate films, these martial arts films, they do very supernatural things. And when you translate that into a role-playing game like Dungeons and Dragons, it's like, okay, they're treating this very much like magic and superpowers. Therefore, you've got to think of it as, in these movies, as these are superheroes. These are not, you know, your average person. You can believe that you could train so hard that you can run on water and you could dodge bullets, but that ain't how physics works, if we're honest. Let's see. How to Train Your Dragon 1 through 3. The animated version is probably the most complete trilogy done. The original Star Wars 4 through 6. Few stories, continuations are as dominant, in my opinion. Fight me. No, I think you're absolutely right. Well, I can't speak to... although I know I saw those How to Train Your Dragon movies. I cannot recall details about them. So I'm just going to take your word on those. Regarding Star Wars, though, I think most fans, if they're honest, will agree that the first three are definitely the best. We did not need a prequel series. They're okay, but unnecessary. And the sequel trilogies just don't exist. Just forget about it. The vast majority of fans have said, yeah, that none of that exists. Do you need an expanded universe for Star Wars? No. It's fun to have, but I think we should just kind of leave it relegated to the realm of comic books and video games, things like that, novelizations. But because of the nature of the franchise, they do need to continue to make movies and shows and whatnot. So use that expanded universe. Quit reinventing the wheel and doing it poorly. Okay? The wheel has been perfected. You can't make an octagon or a square or a triangle and think it's going to be better than the circle. Okay? Just no. It's all in respect, but few continuation stories are successful. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And again, the successful ones are the ones that clearly put the thought into it. You don't have to have the same creative team, but it helps because that adds continuity. But then again, George Lucas. Okay? Sometimes the original people can lose their edge. Sometimes you do need a little bit of new blood. But you always need someone who truly respects what they're doing, or they shouldn't be doing it at all. Period. Full stop. Rogue One was an awesome compliment. I am thankful I saw that in theaters along with my father. I would definitely encourage you to get over to Retro Blasting and check out his video about retro blasting. It's a deep dive into the Rogue One film that could have been. What we got was heavily edited from a version that we almost got, and it would have actually been better. Go check that out. Very, very much worth it. What you like about Rogue One, we got in spite of, not because of, the changes they made. could have been better. And it just happens to be better than anything else they've put out. But speaking of everything else someone is putting out, let me real quick play my promos for this week. We'll come back to your comments on the other side after I've refilled my drink. See you in just under 2.5 minutes. Be right back. Where's those promos? There they are.
You are watching Last Call, streaming every Friday night at 9 Central, 10 Eastern. Come on in, pull up a chair, and have a drink with us.
This week on Last Call presents The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. An unknown thief steals an important naval treaty from a Foreign Office clerk. Sherlock Holmes sets out to find it. Fans of our Blake 7 series may recognise guest star Gareth Thomas. It's the Naval Treaty. This week on Last Call presents, Tuesday at 9 Central, 10 Eastern.
This week on Saturday Night at the Movies, the world is beset by the appearance of monstrous creatures, but one of them may be the only one who can save humanity. Bryan Cranston and Ken Watanabe star in the 2014 relaunch of the kaiju classic Godzilla. This Saturday night at 9 Central, 10 Eastern on Netters Network.
Every Sunday evening, Aged Boomer and Last Call with Troy Pacelli bring you the rundown of the week's geek news, or at least what they think is interesting. You may have heard about it elsewhere, but Boomer and Pacelli spin it like only two old geezers can. It's Geeky Geezers, every Sunday evening at 8 Central, 9 Eastern.
Did you top off your glasses? We now return to Last Call.
Enigma says, oh man, I would hope we could get like a director's cut or a fan cut like you just shared. I can't get enough of Rogue One and how it went back to originality. Enigma, definitely check out that video by Retro Blasting. In fact, if there's a Blue Wrench that could drop a link to that video, I'd super appreciate it. The problem with that is I think that there's a lot of footage that has been... He gets into the backstory, but there was more than one filmmaker there. The director that was working on it got pushed out. It was almost a Richard Donner, Mankiewicz kind of situation, where the new guy comes in, trashed a lot of the stuff the guy that was before him did, and reshot scenes to change the story and change things in editing and all sorts of stuff. So in a lot of cases, there isn't there's definitely not going to be a fan cut because the fans can't get a hold of that footage to work from. The closest you're going to get is what Michael French did on this retro blasting video. And unless there's somebody to spearhead a release the so-and-so's edit like there was for the Snyderverse, yeah, that's not going to happen. So the best you can hope for is check out Michael French's video. That's the way to go. Oh, Sherlock with Robert Downey is coming back. Benedict Cumberbatch did an amazing job of Sherlock. Sadly, the last episode of season 4 was not as powerful as seasons 2 to 3. I have not watched the Cumberbatch episodes series. I have been completely uninterested in them because I'm not a proponent for a Sherlock Holmes set in the modern day. Victorian England is as much a part of Sherlock Holmes as any of the other staples of his character. The history behind him. And in a lot of ways, I kind of feel the same way about James Bond. I wish they would go back and set James Bond back during the Cold War again, rather than modern day. I'm getting tired of constantly having to, because it's the original form of writing for the modern audience. Okay? The modern audience needs to expand their minds and start looking back to history. If you're gonna bother resurrecting characters, resurrect the history that comes with them, in my opinion. And Robert Downey, what I saw of it was good, but they almost turn Sherlock Holmes into a superhero character, which I suppose in a way is fine if you're doing it like a Batman detective type, superhero. But yeah, I don't know. Just it's an interesting because we were talking about this because the first episode of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes with Jeremy Brett is Scandal in Bohemia. So they introduce the I'm forgetting her name. He refers to her as the woman. He always refers to her as the woman. And then they bring her back in the Robert Downey Jr. character. And I think there's a lot of fans that have a fan fiction in their mind about some of these characters and what might have happened to them later. So I guess I kind of understand exploring that. But when it comes to actual telling of the Sherlock Holmes stories as written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the Granada series was the best. And that's why we're kind of going through it on Tuesday nights. I love fan edits. I love fan-made content as well. Yeah, fan-made content, some is better than others. Got a lot of fan edits. And occasionally I will do, for my members-only streams, I will occasionally do fan edits of films. Especially ones that I can't find out on the internet anymore. Last Monday, not yesterday, but a week ago prior, for the anniversary of the holiday special, I did a fan edit of the Star Wars holiday special. It even added some fan-made footage, so it's almost a fan film. But sometimes there can be a great deal of improvement. Anyway, yeah. Return of the Jedi was always my favorite because Luke returns with a resolved character and maturity. Rogue One brought so much honor. Rebellions are built on hope. It's interesting. That's the idea that you got from it. I didn't get that it was based on hope. I got that it was based on sacrifice. What are you willing to give to the cause? And unless it's everything, probably not going to be successful and probably not worth it. Although I'm hearing a lot of people saying that a lot of that is in Andor too. So usually if you liked Rogue One, you probably like Andor. And I have also heard from people who aren't big Star Wars fans that have seen Andor, particularly in the Law Tube and the history, people, saying that Andor is a great depiction in, sci-fi fiction that models how rebellions under tyranny actually operate and actually start. So very, very interesting. It gets a lot of those, geopolitics correct. Thank you, Big Al, for dropping that. This is that retro blasting video that I was telling you about. If you want to see, it's a time investment, but he's got it sectioned off into chapters. So you can watch a chapter a day or whenever you've got time and keep going back to it. Make sure you hit that like button because he put a lot of time and energy into it. This is as well researched as any documentary you're going to see professionally made anywhere. Definitely, definitely worth it. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Big Al. Super appreciated. Oh, he thinks he might have gotten the wrong link, so check this one out. Either way, thank you for dropping that for us. Rebellions are built on hope is from the film. But again, I don't think that was the intent. I don't think that was in the first one. It was a classic phrase, but yes, sacrifice. Because ultimately, it kind of steps all over that line. If rebellions are built on hope, and all the characters you just follow just die at the end, where's the hope? Right? It kind of steps on that. But if your line is that rebellions are built on sacrifice, then the payoff is the deaths at the end. You know? And then you're almost going, I should have seen this coming. You know? My number 2 Disney Plus show behind High School Musical, the musical series. Okay, fair enough. Never really saw them, but I understand there was a character named Troy in that series. So, welcome, Leia Plus Size. Good to see you. I loved Return of the Jedi and always felt it never got enough love. The scene of Luke, Vader, and the Emperor, and Luke redeeming his father is the best to me. Yeah, and they keep trying to undermine it. That's probably Disney's biggest sin. They keep trying to undermine everything that was beloved about the originals. Welcome, Joe's Atmosphere. Drive by, like, and share. Lurkin' and working. Good to see you. Yeah, you're right. I've got to save you. You already have. Tell your sister you were right. Yeah, I like that. Yes, Troy Bolton played in the HMS trilogy by Zac Efron. Yeah, gotcha. The reason I know this is because we got a ball cap for Netter that says "I love Troy," and it was High School Musical merchandise. High School Musical is Gina Porter, portrayed by Sophia Weil, who portrayed Buffy Driscoll in Andy Mack. Okay, there you go. What's up? Oh! Netter actually specifically came to show me the hat that I was talking about. Because High School Musical. Yep, that's her hat. Thanks, sweetie.
Love you.
Love you too. I'm like, oh, I look, is my mic on? What's going on? What is she coming to tell me? That left such an impression on me. And and on what a true hero is, right? Because what's very interesting is we're watching it, the equivalent of an action film, right? Where there's a war, it's literally a war going on, right? And you win by killing the bad guys, right? And being the last man standing. And the real hero of this particular war goes to sacrifice himself to save his father, who happens to be the enemy. And without killing anybody, he himself does not kill anybody, right? He ends up saving everyone. That is a masterpiece of storytelling, right? Luke has this great lightsaber battle with his father, and you could argue he technically wins, cuts off his hand, which I just saw as, he had it coming because he did the same to Luke. Luke even looks at his hand, after he does it. Realizes he's going down his father's path and says, no more of this. He doesn't kill his father. He is completely ineffectual in attacking the Emperor. Vader's the one that does it. Luke saves Vader. Vader brings balance to the Force. That's the brilliance. That's the brilliance of the story. And these modern neo-Marxists can't conceive, can't even understand. This is why I accept Rogue One as part of the original, because it lines up. This was something I said at the time, too. I have not been at all interested in any of the merchandise that's come out for any of the sequel stuff, with one exception. Well, I'll get back to that in a moment. But a lot of the stuff that came out for Rogue One, and even a little bit for Solo, A Star Wars Story, had regular stormtroopers and other, kinds of troopers that were set in that period, vehicles and whatnot. I'm like, okay, I'm good with this. This all goes with my original trilogy type stuff. When The Mandalorian came out, I picked up I picked up a number of things related to The Mandalorian, specifically because I'm a big EU fan and Star Wars role-playing kind of guy. So I really saw The Mandalorian as being the kind of character you would create for your own role-playing game, doing stories in the Star Wars universe, not directly involving the main characters or the main stories. So the idea of having a Mandalorian character that could represent your character, his ship, some of the other characters like Cara Dune and Apollo Creed. I can't remember his character's name in Mando. These are characters I could see making characters of in my role-playing game. So, The other thing was, in one of the first episodes, maybe it was the first episode of The Mandalorian, they had an Imperial rebel trooper, Imperial troop transport, which harkened back to the EU of the Kenner days. And I never had one of those as a kid, so I got the Mandalorian version, which is actually, admittedly, better than the original. It's a little bit bigger. It's got more space on the inside, no electronics. I really, really like that. And in fact, I picked up the drivers for that vehicle from the Solo Star Wars Story to man that. And one other thing that I got from Ahsoka, I got the E-Wing fighter, because Dark Empire, expanded universe. So I pick up stuff that they are starting to take from the EU. So I have a Thrawn action figure. If they do a Palean, well, I have the animated version of Palean. They did a Palean figure that I know I have. I got they put out the trilogy figures with Jorah Sabaoth, so I picked those up too. But nothing from the true Disney stuff. This is why I wanted Daisy Ridley's character to be much more than what these crappy films did to the characters. Yeah, horribly, horribly done with confused morons. I was all behind with the first movie, Force Awakens. I was excited to see what they were going to do with Rey, Poe, and Finn. I wanted to see those three characters. My fear going in was, are you going to turn these into variations on Luke, Leia, and Han? And at first, that's how I thought they were doing it. That went out the window very quickly, and I saw, okay, they're going to be very much their own thing. That's good. What's bad is that by the time you get to the second movie, they threw out any possibility of any kind of story arc or continuity, even with the movie that came before it, let alone all the movies that were legacy for it. As Troy said, these days, these Hollywood nuts are obsessed with destroying what came before. Seems to be the theme with them. It is more important to them to own the chuds, right? And destroy the past, kill it if you have to, than it is to make something that's actually good. Because they don't care if it's good. They don't care if you like it. In fact, they actually want you to not like it. The reason they don't care is because they've already been paid. They were paid to be a director, an actor, a writer, whatever, up front. And if the movie doesn't do well, it's not like they're going to make any more or less money off of it. They don't care. They really, really don't. In a lot of ways, you almost have to read the most recent interview with Leslie Headland, where if you read between the lines, you know that's exactly the case with her. Again, these people don't have any stake in this. They don't care. A lot of people say, well, you need fans to write these things. I'm not going to say you need fans, at least not necessarily fans of the franchise. You need fans of literature, of actual writing, that have integrity in their skills, right? If they look at it and they go, yeah, I don't think I can do this, there's integrity there. If you do like Nicholas Meyer, right, and look at Star Trek, he wasn't a fan of Star Trek. He looks at it and he goes, I understand what this is. I can do this. He took the time to go back and watch episodes of Star Trek. Understand who these characters are. Understand. And there were times where people would come and say, no, that's not how warp drive works, or this and that and the other. Those were minor things to him. He's like, okay, well, fix this in the editorialize, edit this for me, But, but the basic story he was getting, I think this is why we really enjoy Tom Cruise, because he invests in his own movie and knows the fans truly want the inspiration. Apply these honorable things in their own lives. So there was a soundbite that came out. Tom Cruise was going off on a couple of crewmen on one of his movies. I think it was one of the Mission Impossible movies that they were filming during COVID. And he just ripped into them for not following some protocol or something. And someone got a recording of it and leaked it. And I think they leaked it with the idea of making Tom Cruise look dumb, making people turn on him, or whatever. And it kind of had the opposite effect. Everyone was like, he has every right to sound this angry. If anything, he is more reserved, because you also have to remember that these Hollywood people don't understand the idea of being held to account for something. All of us who work in the private sector are used to, if you screw up, you're getting called into your boss's office and you don't know if you're going to still have a job when you leave that office, and getting reamed up and down for doing a dumb, It's just the way it is. And only spoiled children don't know how to respond to that. And that's what these spoiled children did. They recorded it and released it. And everyone's coming back and going, yeah, it doesn't matter. It also did not become a COVID era, whether you believe in the protocols or not. Doesn't matter. In fact, it was even implied in the rant that Tom Cruise made. He basically said, look, we have these rules we have to follow in order to get this movie made. It's not your money that's on the line. People who have money in the game need this to happen, or all these people lose their jobs. He's absolutely right. Absolutely right. So if you gotta show up to work and you gotta wear a mask and you gotta stand 25 feet away from each other and do handstands and do a little magic jig and pray to the COVID gods, or whatever you got to do, whatever hoops they said you need to jump through, even if it's bullshit, you do it so that the job can get done, people can get paid, money gets made. Because how many people out there were out of work because of COVID? How many people lost their businesses because of COVID? Right? Check out Robert James's 15 Days right now on Tubi. Good movie, very entertaining, very funny, but it also kind of reminds you about what some people actually went through during COVID. Was talking with him behind the scenes, and we're going to have him on an interview in after the holidays. He was saying that a lot of those kind of crazy things that we laugh at in this movie, based on real people that had real, situations. In fact, the pub that the girls work at in that movie, their boss is the actual guy that owns that actual bar in the real world that went through all this. So, definitely worth checking out. We'll talk more about that after the holidays. I need to wrap this up. I love Tuesdays because I love talking about whatever you guys want to talk about. I love it when we can just have a conversation like that. This is really the essence of what I always wanted Liquid Lunch to be. Spend an hour on our lunchtime just getting together and having that, the conversation about whatever's going on with you guys. Tonight, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Tomorrow night, I am back on with Doomcock for Pop Culture Breakdown. I'm guessing he's probably having me fill in because other people are out for the holidays. But I don't mind being a second stringer. It's a really, really good show. So I hope to see you on Doomcock's channel tomorrow night. All day Thursday, I didn't put together a promo, and hopefully I could do it before tomorrow. But a little promo because we're going to be doing special watch parties all day on my channel and Netters for Thanksgiving. If you don't have other Thanksgiving plans, just drop in and hang out with us. It'll be fun. And then Friday night, last call, we are going to be talking about exactly what the day is, Black Friday. I think you'll be very interested in some of our experiences with Black Friday, some things that are going on now with Black Friday that make it different than years ago. Just kind of talking about Black Friday. It's going to be a lot of fun. And guys, I want to thank you all so much for being here. Hit that like button on the way out. Make sure that you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And whether you are or not, share out this stream and tell people specifically to subscribe. I'd love to hit that 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year. You guys can help me make that happen. And that's all I got now. Let's get back to work. You guys take care. Be safe, be healthy. Always drink responsibly. It doesn't always have to be an adult beverage. Stay hydrated. You guys take care, and I'll see you on the next one. And unfortunately, I didn't load the closing credits. So I have to just verbally thank all of you that contribute to this show financially to make it happen. I apologize. It happens. Technical difficulties. Honestly, the reason that there is no credits there is because I take it out to remind myself that I've got to update my credits for the new members. And then I forgot to upload it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for understanding. I'm just going to shut it down. You guys take care. Bye-bye.